Hey, everybody. Welcome. I am Haley Gray. I'm really excited to be here tonight. And I have an amazing guest with me here. This is Doug Stoddard, and he is our habit finder expert. We're going to be talking about habit breaking tonight. And we're going to be talking about a few things around this whole habit breaking process and the things that you might be doing at home and in your business that are really impacting your your life, your business. Your mind is a powerful tool. So welcome, Doug. So happy to have you here.
Well, thank you for being or allowing me to be here. I'm excited. I get so excited about this kind of information because of how much it's changed me and people I've worked with for almost 9 years now. And so thank you for the opportunity.
This is awesome. Yeah. And Charlene is here and Melanie is here. Hey, guys. So what is it exactly that you do?
Well, my title says I'm a habit. Actually, that's a habit breaker expert. Okay. But in order to break a habit, you have to find it first. So that fits it really well. So it's really important that we understand that everything that we want in our life, Haley, to go to the next level in our relationships, in our businesses, in our community, whatever it is, there'll always be resistance. And in the resistance, the pushback, pushback and the resistance are what we call habits of thinking. And most of them we're not aware of, but they drive how we see things, how we see people, how we see ourselves. It also creates the self-talk, that inner critic. And it drives all kinds of things that then get in the way of us achieving what we want. Maybe it's more joy. Maybe it's more confidence. Maybe it's belief that I can I could take my business to this level.
Mm-hmm.
So I help people identify their habits of thinking that are sabotaging them and then to break them or shift them.
That's pretty darn amazing. Like that, finding the problem and successfully identifying it, because there are some things that we were talking about the other day that were like, holy crap, our brains are powerful tools that we use for both good and not so good reasons.
You've experienced that?
Oh, maybe just a time or two. I'm not sure.
Well, you're right. Would it be helpful if I went into this process of how the
I would
brain?
love to learn more about this process of yours because, it's really interesting how we do these things to ourselves. And I would love to learn why in the world our brain is doing this lizard stuff to us.
Lizard stuff, that's great. Well, let me explain it this way. From the time we're really young, where we can start creating a perception around something, we start having life experiences, right? And we begin to interpret those. And the more we repeat something, the more the brain will begin to create a pattern of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's neuroscience. And so I'll give you an example real quick. When I was a young boy delivering newspapers, a big dog came out and caught me and just ripped my leg. It got infected. I had lots of shots. It was very traumatic. And so when I saw another big dog after that, what do you think I felt?
Oh, terror.
Yeah, yeah, especially as a 10-year-old boy.
And it probably didn't matter that the dog was slobbering on your leg. You probably were half expecting it to bite you.
Yeah, long before, even if I saw it, run.
Mm-hmm.
So a few months later, I was delivering papers, and a 10-year-old bully comes out, starts knocking me off my bike, starts swearing at me. And I'm a really tender-hearted guy, you know? And so in my brain, it looked like he looked like the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
So don't deal with it, run. I had mom deal with the bully and it got worse. So that's not a solution here. Okay, so I started to create a pattern of thinking. When that starts to happen, the brain actually creates a little canal in your brain, in the gray matter of your brain. We have many of these. What it does also, in my simplification of this process, it will put a gate and it will put a trigger button. And so when something starts to show up, like in my example, like a big dog, a threat, the brain will then go to whatever circuit or whatever canal represents that area, that
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. For people, it could be trauma, it could be abuse, it could be divorce, whatever it may be. And it triggers that, pushes that button, and it opens up. And then, Haley, chemicals start flowing into that little canal. First thing we experience is emotions.
Yeah.
Run, Doug. Don't deal with the problem. And after 90 seconds, if we don't shut the gate, then it turns in actually into habits of thinking. We start hearing things. Some of the things people hear is, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. Or it's comparison. They compare themselves to other people. Do you come across people, Haley, that experience those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things where they're in this comparison to, especially with all the wonderful women you're working with? Many of them are drivers. and it comes along with, well, they're up at this level.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, totally.
So that's what happened to me over a period of time. By the time I was in high school, I didn't stick to anything that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was a flake.
Right, because we don't encourage it particularly, and we don't teach our kids, to really stick with things even when they're hard a lot of times, because it looks like this other person had it so much easier.
Yeah.
So if they've got it so much easier, why am I supposed to work on this so hard? Not realizing, of course, that they've been working on it really, really hard for a very long time, and that they may not be all that like amazing, gifted, and talented at it, but what they were amazing, gifted, and talented at was sticking with it.
Yeah, they developed a habit, a pattern of thinking of sticking with it, right? You can have great habits of thinking. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm going to show you something here a little later that I think will really interest you. And so we can have habits of thinking that sabotage us or habits of thinking that support us. The ones that support us are so natural to us. They're God-given to us. We do them so easily. We don't even recognize them as some of our greatest tools, assets, or we even discount them.
Right. Of course. That was easy.
Yeah. Oh, well, if I could do that, anybody could do it, type of comments. And so this habit of thinking, it's a tough thing. But I got to tell you, when we help people identify these habits of thinking, because we have a tool that within 15 minutes, it's 100% accurate, because it's not like a personality test or other tests like that. They're subjective. It's not like that at all. This is based on high levels of math. And so it'll in 15 minutes, it'll identify exactly how you think.
Mm-hmm.
Not what you think, but how you think. What are your neural pathways and what triggers them?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it impacting your life? How is it sabotaging you?
Yep.
And what is the frequency of you hearing these thoughts and trying to just grunt through it, work through it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blink. Shared this. Blink if you're someone that when things aren't going well, you work twice as hard.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Tell me
We all,
something can't be done, and I'm going to take it as a challenge.
okay. So in that case, that could be a very positive thing. But if a habit of thinking, I'll show you a little later, is perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
And that taskmaster never sleeps.
Mm-mm.
And so if you have that habit of thinking going on, it wouldn't matter how much you got done during the day. That habit of thinking said, well, yeah, you should have had that done 5 hours ago.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how habits of thinking occur. You can't get rid of a habit.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is teach the brain to go to a different canal,
Mm-hmm.
teach it to put a different trigger on it,
Mm-hmm.
and teach it to go to that gate instead of the other one. The challenge is behind that gate, there's no canal. On a new habit, there is no canal.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, how long does it take to create a habit? What have you heard, Haley? I mean, you've been around a lot of people that.
I've heard, a range from 21 days to 60 days
Oh,
and up. It depends on how frequently you're doing that thing.
there you nail it. There is not a time frame. It's the number of times you practice it,
Mm-hmm.
that and how consistent you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the process. But once again, there is no canal to support you. It hasn't
Right.
gone into your subconscious yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you can imagine, this is how I explain it to the people I work with, is if you have, along with this new head gate or this new gate you have, the new trigger, we're going to give you two little ladies or two guys, and they got shovels. And every
Mm-hmm.
time you're brave enough to try and to redirect your subconscious brain into this new one, these two people take a shovel load of dirt and throw it over their shoulder into the old sabotaging habit of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The more you practice it, the more these two little ladies dig the canal for you, the pathway, which then allows more and more of the chemicals to flow, whether they're good or whether they're not good.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
did that answer your question? How does this work?
It totally does. Yeah. And it's amazing to me that we can really fundamentally rewire our brains doing this.
Dogs and cats can't, but as human beings, we have that ability to make a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is amazing. So, what are the 3 habits of thinking that keep you stuck?
I'm going to share my screen. We'll see how this technology works. Is that okay?
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go into.
I'm going to see how well this behaves.
Okay, so
I got this. Hang on.
do I click on it? There we go. Okay.
I got it.
Okay, I've got one screen above the other, so excuse me for a second. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, can you see this?
I can see it.
Okay. Let me make sure I still see you. Okay. So these are the results of someone who takes this habit tool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really fun. There we go. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what we're talking about here is the green represents that you. It's your
Mm-hmm.
authentic self. When we get into these color bars, it represents, first of all, you got a canal, you got a habit of thinking, and it represents the risk of it pulling you away. So if it's a red, there's a very high risk that it's going to pull you out of being authentic and real.
Mm-hmm.
If it's lighter yellow, it's not as much risk. And then the frequency. So if you've got
Mm-hmm.
a red bar that's showing up here, and I'll show you a few of those, it could be that some days it may feel like that inner critic just doesn't shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced that. I believe many people have. Now, what I've noticed is with strivers and achievers is they can keep working and moving things forward in spite of this incessant noise.
Mm-hmm.
But what I throw out there is at what cost?
Mm.
What does it do to them? I went through it for at least 9 to 10 years. What does it do? Over time, you just burn out.
Right.
Or you lose your joy in your journey.
Yep.
Things become boring and mundane and repetitious.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they look back 10, 15 years at their life, they say, why did I even do this? What was the purpose?
Right.
So, having said that, the goal is not to just keep working harder and burn yourself out. The goal is to learn where these are and to learn how to shift them. So I'm going to show
Mm-hmm.
you a couple of these that to answer your question.
Right.
Okay, so this one we're measuring people's dreams, how they are creating their life in their head, and what kind of expectations are they creating
Mm-hmm.
in the process. We're measuring how they use their visualization, their openness to advice, stress management. This one's getting over there. This person. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is a driver. This individual is a driver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that's what it's measuring here. This little one right here is really interesting. It can't go over any further to the right, but it says that they live a lot of their life trying to look like they're successful.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is to create an appearance that they're successful,
Mm.
which, so
Yeah, that
here's,
can be dangerous too, right?
oh, well, you become a people pleaser. And I've been down
Mm.
that road with chasing other people's dreams, chasing what other people may think about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work. So the first one here, one of them is stress management. This is what we're measuring. So many people who are in a phase of just grunting through it
Mm-hmm.
instead of finding joy in doing it. People begin to not bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they get back up one more time, they're not on the right path.
Mm.
So what they do is they end up being overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
with everything they've got to do. So that's one right there, is becoming overwhelmed because they have expectations of how they should be showing up and it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
How would that impact people, you think? With expectations that are driving them to hit unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations are just dangerous, in so many different directions because you'll drive yourself into an early grave, or you have unrealistic expectations about, things performing a certain way. I mean, there's just a lot of ways that it can really manifest itself and really be not good. I'm just like, gosh, I deal with clients with unrealistic expectations all the time. Oh, I'm going to build this website and it's going to bring me 1,000 clients in the first month. It's not quite how that works, guys. Hate to tell you. A website can be your best performing employee, but you gotta do it right, and it needs, attention and love and maintenance, and so there's lots of ways that this unrealistic expectations can really impact life and business and so many things. It's just like, wow, yeah.
Well, let me show you how it's happening here. You see this one right here? This is, we're measuring how are they experiencing their journey through life.
Mm-hmm.
And this one says it's just plain discouraging. That's how the habit of thinking is talking to you. That, and this one's all based on unmet expectations. Joy in your journey, actually finding peace in the process, is determined about on your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
So here's the other one. Most of us have really, as entrepreneurs, we have a powerful gift of visualization.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is most of us use it to create unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. True.
And so what happens is we have these unrealistic expectations. And then the second thing that happens is we're not getting them done.
Mm-hmm.
And so have there been times in your life, Haley, or people in which all of a sudden you get a download, oh, I got to get this done, got to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
Frenetic energy, frantic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I used to, yeah. I mean, from time to time I will, but yeah, it can be, whew.
Okay. Well, this one's very active and alive, and it's happening a lot to this individual.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's saying you're not getting things done. In your mind, you've created them. I think they're real, that
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to. So, but they're not. So can you imagine being in your home or your business and you're feeling that frenetic energy? I got to get this done or that done.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally a distraction factor. So you'll never create what you want if you're in this state of frenetic energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can be talking to you and you can ignore it. Just because it's here doesn't mean you have to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
So unrealistic expectations is the first habit of thinking. The drive is impacts both our business and our home. The second one, I want to come down here, is right here, comparison. Comparison is almost always driven by trying to prove something to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This individual, it was appearances, is how she was raised growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And that you had to do a certain thing or perform a certain way or else you weren't doing your job.
Right, of course.
So that's what's the driver is for her. And what it does is it drives her into comparison, which when you're in comparison, you'll never feel confident.
Yep.
You'll never have the voice when you're in that space. Now, when it's not talking to them, they could be at times really confident. They could be bold in how they talk with other people and themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If this is being triggered for whatever reason, and it's quite frequent, then it'll pull you away from feeling confident. And then what people start hearing is they start doubting their ability to do a live or take their business to the next level,
Yeah.
or stay on a diet program.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those number of things.
Right.
So that's number two. And this third thing I want to show you here that many get caught up into is they're trying to prove their worth. And so they take on one more thing.
Mm.
No, they take on 5 more things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I usually, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what does that do to a family life if you're already stretched, but you're feeling this need, I've got to prove something. And so you take on 3 more things that takes another 2 hours of time away from your kids that you're already feeling guilty about because you're not spending enough time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be that they feel like they need to spend too much time with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because they may be feeling guilty about, I'm spending too much time in my work.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So just the last thing I want to show, this person is in the people business. Everyone in your group, your WAN networking, they're in people.
Yeah.
People person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. This is driving her to be preoccupied rather than compassionate.
Yeah, that's hard.
And people feel that. And so then you come across as not caring. You come across as you're not listening to me. In reality, what they got is a bunch of habits of thinking going around that's saying my problems, I've got a lot of problems, or my to-do list is more important than your whatever it is you want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what happens is we just get on and off with people,
Mm-hmm.
or we come there with an agenda. And with the agenda, it's I don't have time, so I just need you to do what I would want you to do. Or
Mm-hmm.
I just need 5 more people to sign up, so buy my product now because I got 5 more things I got to do tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Or with your children, where they don't even feel heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing what it does when we get this one right here is really interesting with people is we'll look at people when this one's talking, and many times entrepreneurs are in this place. It's very easy to create an expectation of how somebody's going to show up.
Mm.
And they don't.
Right.
So because of that, now they become skeptical of people.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
Anyway.
Loving this. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You know, it's interesting how these habits and the mindset and the pieces all go together. And it's like, wow, okay, I can see that.
So there's more, but I won't go into any more. But anyway, so I'd encourage those who are listening to this, if they're interested in identifying what the resistance is, rather than just feeling it
Mm-hmm.
and hearing it, but really get down to what's driving it,
Mm-hmm.
then I'd encourage them to get on a 30-minute call with me just to see where they are, where they feel resistance in their life, and losing my voice here. And then if it makes sense, then we can share the link with them. They take the profile.
That sounds awesome.
And then we get back together and I go through what are your goals and let's see what habits of thinking are sabotaging you.
What is your link?
Excuse me. Could I post that in the comments? Excuse me. I came in.
Yes, you can give it to me. We're on a bunch of different pages and on YouTube as well. So if you give it to me as well afterwards, I can get it posted everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that.
Awesome.
It'll take me a minute. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is pretty awesome stuff. And that stinking thinking and all the things we're doing makes a big difference.
Well, I sure appreciate you and all that you're doing to help women to succeed. And
thank you. It is a passion for sure. Thanks,
right,
guys. Have a blessed night. Be safe. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.